What's up everybody? Happy holidays and happy new year. As the year comes to a close, I figured we'd do what we did last year and do a marathon episode of the 5 most watched and most liked lookbacks from this year. Just to kind of do a little nostalgia warm, give me and Ray a little break over Christmas, and kind of just have a big video that can get shared around and show people the show and yada yada. So from me to you, again, happy holidays. Happy New Year's. I'm so excited for you guys to come into 2026 and see all the new stuff the channel is gonna have. And that's pretty much it. Cheers and enjoy. 5 of the most popular lookbacks of 2025. There's nothing I love more than when brands collab. I mean, it really is exciting to see 2 things you love, or maybe even just 2 random things, come together to create a limited time product or concoction. And within that world of brand collabs, I want to talk today specifically about some of the most weird, iconic, and wild cereal brand collaborations. So today, sit back as we look back into some of the funkiest cereal collabs. Let's start with the reason I even wanted to make this video. Recently, I was perusing the web trying to figure out if the Dunkin' Mocha cereal still existed. And to my disappointment, it doesn't. But back in 2020, Post decided to team up with Dunkin' to release 2 Dunkin' themed flavors, using real Dunkin' coffee in the cereal itself. They were released on National Cereal Day in 2020 and came in 2 flavors, Mocha Latte and Caramel Macchiato. The reason those 2 flavors were chosen were, well, because they're the 2 most popular orders. Each cereal came with their own marshmallow bits as well, because, well, that just seems to be the norm nowadays. And similar to how chocolatey cereal turns your milk into chocolate as you're eating it, this cereal would turn your milk into a coffee flavored milk. Pretty cool if you ask me. And even though they seemed to be a huge hit with consumers, they would ultimately start being pulled off store shelves around mid-2024. I also found out while doing research for this video that Dunkin' actually had an even older cereal that originally came out in the 80s. Let me know if you'd want to see us talk about that here on the channel. But let's switch from Post to Kellogg for a minute though, and talk about the Peeps cereal that was released for the Easter season of 2019. And yeah, I know, Peeps are controversial or whatever, but hot take, I've always kinda liked them. I know, sue me. The cereal would come in bright multicolored Peep shaped and flavored flakes, as well as Peep flavored marshmallows, obviously. These ones would not be so loved, however. While most people actually enjoyed the marshmallow flavored part of it, they were also heavily criticizing the real cereal part for losing all of its structural integrity within minutes of being added to the milk, as well as the milk itself becoming way too overpowering and sweet if you let it sit for even just a minute too long. It seems that Kellogg's decides to bring these back every now and then, as the last time they were seen in stores was for the 2023 Easter season. So I guess I'll have to wait and hope that they bring them back again so I can try them and give them my own review. Now let's get into some more weird territory. In 2018, Post decided to team up with a rather strange partner for a cereal collab, and that would be Sour Patch Kids. The cereal was released for a short time, with it kind of being a hard one to find, people said. Alas though, the cereal came in a pretty colored bright box with the cereal bits looking like, well, Sour Patch Kids. They smelled exactly like the candy. But the taste? That was a different story. People would say the cereal just tasted like Fruit Loops, but with less fruit flavor and sugar, and instead a more citric acid taste. And yes, I know what you're thinking. And the answer is, yeah, sadly, it does turn the milk sour. And not sour like curdled, but just sour like it just tastes funky and not right. Not to mention, a lot of people reviewing it would talk about how weird it was to be crunching down on Sour Patch Kids when they're normally that rubbery, gummy texture. Most people would just end up chalking it up to a gimmick, and eventually it just died out within stores. But if you thought that was weird, wait till you hear about what Kellogg's did to rival this. Jolly Rancher cereal. Released just a couple years later in 2020, this cereal would obviously intend to take the beloved Jolly Rancher brand and mix it with milk. However, due to having the advantage of seeing a Sour Patch Kids cereal come and go, they got to come in with a different approach. Instead of trying to replicate that sour tanginess of a Jolly Rancher, the cereal aimed to just take the fruit flavors out of them and, well, that's it, just use those. The cereal bits looked like the classic Jolly Ranchers, and based on reviews, they actually held up pretty well in milk, holding their texture and crunch for a decent time. For some reason though, they decided not to put watermelon in, but added all the other original flavors. However, this was not the new Reese's Puffs like they were hoping it would be though, and these would be pulled off store shelves just about a year after their release. Now these have all been fun cereals, But what about when it flips and the cereal lends its brand to somebody else? Well, that's what happened when in September of 2024, Cinnamon Toast Crunch would team up with Hormel to recreate their signature thick cut bacon but rubbed down in that iconic Cinnamon Toast Crunch dust. And while Cinnamon Toast Crunch is no stranger to lending their name out, and we could probably have a whole video just deep diving into those products, honestly, let me know if you'd want to see that. This one to me is really just different in a way that it's like silly, but actually kind of works. With the classic mix of sweet and savory, it really just hits for me. But not everyone likes the bacon, with some reviewers describing the flavor as underwhelming or even off-putting, with some people likening it to a reheated ham. Another common complaint was that the cinnamon sugar coating on the bacon made it hard to cook evenly, as the outside would burn fairly quickly, leaving the inside more chewy and rubbery. But even so, that wouldn't stop this thing from being sold in Walmarts right now. Which brings us to today, where just this past July, they decided to switch up the action here. And now, this bacon has become so popular that they made a Cinnamon Toast Crunch bacon flavored cereal, which is meant to replicate the Cinnamon Toast Crunch flavored bacon. Yeah, kind of a mindfuck, I know. But now you get to have the flavor of the bacon without cooking the bacon, and you get the refreshingness of the bowl of milk, which honestly to me just sounds like they added liquid smoke to Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but hey, I'm no genius. I haven't seen many reviews on them yet since they're so new, but popular snack food creator Snackolator got to try them early and described them as pretty much what you'd expect. A classic Cinnamon Toast Crunch flavor with some rich smokiness you'd get from bacon. He did add it to milk and said it was okay, but still ended up giving it an overall 5 out of 10. And well, that's all I got for you guys today. There are a ton of more weird brand crossovers that have happened within the cereal world, so if you guys ended up being really interested in this topic, let me know and we can make more. Or if you want to see some other brand collabs from other different products, categories, yada yada, also feel free to let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hey, maybe even share this video with a fellow cereal lover or somebody who you know just likes brand collabs like this. And I will see you guys in another video. Peace.
100 gecs.
If you were listening to music in 2019, then you might remember how hard it was to escape this album.
What the fuck is up,
Hey,
Coachella?
baby, you think you're so fucking cool, huh? You think you're so fucking tough? You talk a lot of big game for someone such a small truck. Oh, look at those arms. Your arms look so fucking cute. They look like little cigarettes. I bet I could smoke you. I could roast you, and then you'd love it. You text me, I love you.
Don't if you don't. Hey, we've been working on a new album. So, you know, we're gonna be playing some songs from that tonight. Here's one of them. This one is one of them.
100 gecs were definitely 2019's breakthrough artists, with their debut album 1000 gecs absolutely blowing up and dominating the hyperpop scene and changing the way people think about music forever. Their latest release, 10,000 gecs though, just goes to show how they managed to break through that hyperpop barrier by being a clash of pop punk, ska punk, and even metal, all while maintaining some of that nostalgic internet core. So today, sit back as we look back into 100 gecs and how they seemingly blew up overnight and managed to redefine the music industry. 100 gecs is a genre-defying music duo composed of Dylan Brady and Laura Les, both of whom grew up in the suburbs of St. Louis, Missouri. Though they had very different upbringings and personal experiences, their mutual passion for music and creativity eventually brought them together in a way that would redefine hyperpop. Dylan's childhood was marked by personal upheaval. His parents divorced when he was just 11, and he rarely saw his father after that.
What about you? Your folks stay together?
No.
When did they split?
11.
At 11? So you have like probably strong memories of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did
Sucked.
it sucked?
Yeah.
Did you have to like go through the whole like who do you want to live with choices?
No.
Yeah, what it was just decided for you.
Yeah.
Who'd you go with?
Mom.
Yeah.
Dad moved to Hannibal, Missouri, then Florida.
So how often would you get to see him?
I've probably seen him like 5 times since then.
Music would become a consistent outlet for him, and he remained dedicated to it throughout his adolescence, performing in his high school choir throughout all 4 years.
I think I heard something when we were back in the green room about choir.
Oh yeah.
Were you
I was
guys
in choir.
were you choir kids?
I was.
You were.
Yeah.
Were you? No?
No.
No.
Not like choir club or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Choir, like church choir, school choir?
School choir.
School choirs.
High school, 4 years.
Oh, all 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Would you go on trips and stuff like that for the choir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every other year. She
Nice.
went on 2. Shouts out Dave Cannon,
Shout out to Dave Cannon.
Shout out Dave Cannon.
the GOAT.
Laura, on the other hand, grew up as a self-described, chronically online kid, having access to a laptop from a young age. She spent a lot of time on the internet and enjoyed going to the theater with her grandmother. She picked up the guitar as a young teen and began shaping her own musical identity early on.
I always had a computer in my room.
Yeah.
So I think that was big for me because
Grew
I could
up on the internet.
web crawling and YouTube holes and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of
Rotten.com.
Rotten.com. Wow.
Just kidding.
I was like, I haven't heard that in so long. What kind of YouTube K-holes would you go down?
I used to watch like a lot of like secret Pokemon videos, like if you go under the truck type stuff.
Yeah.
And they would always be like soundtracked with like these Nightcore tracks, or a lot of them were, and they
Yeah.
were really cool. Naruto AMVs. I went to a lot of plays. My grandma used to have season passes to this big like theater in
Yeah.
St. Louis, so we'd go see like plays all the time.
That's amazing.
And I liked Clay.
Was there one that stuck out to you where you're like, oh,
I used to
entertainment?
love Phantom of the Opera. That was my shit.
Oh, yeah.
I asked my grandma to take me
Shit's
there like
hard.
every season.
Despite growing up in the same area, Dylan and Laura didn't attend the same school. However, they shared mutual friends and therefore had overlapping social circles, which led them to cross paths at a house party during their final year of high school. It was at this party that Dylan played some of the music he had been working on with a friend. Laura was instantly captivated, not just by the music, but by the energy of the entire moment. She knew right then and there she wanted to create something like that herself. Thanks to their mutual connections, Laura was able to get in touch with Dylan shortly after the party. The two clicked immediately. In fact, Laura has said that Dylan is the only artist she's ever considered truly like-minded to her.
Dylan is the first person who I've worked with that I've been like, we are like-minded.
That's amazing.
At the time, Dylan was in the early stages of forming a band with another friend and invited Laura to join. She eagerly agreed. But just as things were beginning to take off creatively, life intervened. High school ended, and the two went off to college. Dylan stayed local in St. Louis, while Laura moved to Chicago for school, which made collaborating in person nearly impossible. Still, the distance didn't stop them. Both Dylan and Laura used Logic Pro to produce music, so they began sending each other project files, unfinished tracks, beats, and ideas to build off one another's work. This long-distance collaboration allowed them to continue shaping their sound even while apart. During this time, Laura released her first EP, Hello Kitty Skates to the Fucking Cemetery, a 5-track project that leaned into a distorted metal aesthetic. One of the songs even featured Dylan. Meanwhile, Dylan had also been steadily pursuing his own music, enough to warrant an entire deep dive into just that if you guys wanted a video. Let me know in the comments below. After her first year of college, Laura returned home for the summer and was finally able to reconnect with Dylan in person. That summer reignited her creative fire. The duo stayed close, and during holiday break, Dylan went to go visit Laura in Chicago. They locked themselves in her dorm room and focused entirely on making music. The result of that intense creative isolation? 100 gecs. On January 2nd, 2017, 100 gecs released their debut self-titled EP, introducing the world to a sound that would eventually help define the hyperpop genre. The 5-track project was chaotic, distorted, and energetic, drawing heavy inspiration from Nightcore, early 2010s AMVs, and just internet culture as a whole. It was unlike anything most listeners had ever heard before, but interestingly enough, the EP almost sounded completely different than the version we know today. According to Dylan and Laura, they originally had an entirely different version of the project completed. However, after listening to it back, they felt it was too simple and boring. So they scrapped almost everything and decided to restart. The result was a sonic experiment that pushed boundaries, both musically and emotionally. The project kicks off with Dog Food, a song that immediately sets the tone for what's to come. It begins as an upbeat, anime-inspired hip-hop pop track before violently shifting into a wall of pure noise music, and then slowing down into a heavy distorted guitar outro. The vocals are saturated in auto-tune, pitched up to sound artificial and almost alien-like, clearly channeling those nightcore influences. And yet, despite the chaos, the songwriting remains intentional and melodic. Lyrically, Dog Food dives into themes of mental health, digital fatigue, and disconnection, universal feelings for young adults growing up in an overwhelmingly online world. Whether it's the quiet melancholy of scrolling endlessly through social media, or existential boredom from digital overstimulation, this song captures it all. Next up is Gum, arguably the standout track of the EP. It perfectly encapsulates that numbing feeling of being stuck in a loop, lying in bed, watching the same videos, playing the same games, refreshing the same apps. The track is catchy, hypnotic, and emotionally honest in a way that feels both surreal yet deeply relatable. Following that is Bloodstains, the only song from the original version of the EP that survived the reboot.
I'm just staring at my empty cans that sprawl across my floor. I'm smoking dope in empty cans I got from corner stores.
Stylistically, it keeps the upbeat momentum of Gum, but adds more melodic structure and flow. It also happens to be my all-time favorite 100 gecs song. I mean, I can never get this thing out of my head. Like seriously, send help. As the EP progresses, you may notice something interesting. Each song transitions into the next with eerie horror-inspired like sound effects. These outros serve as connective tissue between tracks, creating a cinematic, almost unsettling atmosphere that ties the project together into a cohesive whole. One of the EP's more curious elements is its recurring imagery of dogs and teeth. The fourth track, Fuck Teeth, continues the chaos with aggressive vocals and glitchy instrumentation. And in Bloodstains, there's a line that literally goes, "We'll feed a doggo playing looking good with new veneers." It's weird, specific, and strangely poetic, hallmarks of gecs' lyrical style. The final track, 25 Bands and a Gecko, doubles down on the canine theme, even replacing kick drums with actual dog barks.
I got 25 bands and they didn't know. I got 25 bands.
Whether there's deeper symbolism behind the dogs and teeth remains a mystery. 100 gecs have never publicly explained it, but the imagery is consistent and surreal, adding just yet another layer of intrigue to the EP. Despite its experimental nature, or perhaps because of it, the EP quickly became an internet sensation, blowing away even the duo's own expectations. It resonated with a growing community of listeners who crave something fresh and weird and undeniably real. Enter the Minecraft Festival Coachella. In 2018, the creators behind Open Pit had an idea to host a music festival inside Minecraft. They called it Coachella, and it featured a lineup of hyperpop and electronic artists performing live in-game. One of those artists was Laura Les. Though she had never played Minecraft before, Laura immediately saw the potential. She understood how her music aligned with gaming culture and how powerful a virtual festival could be for reaching a new audience. But she didn't want to do it alone, so she called Dylan and asked if he wanted to be a part of her set. He said yes, and the two began working on new music specifically for the festival. And what came next? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. By 2018, Dylan Brady was busier than ever with his solo projects, but his dedication to 100 gecs never wavered. Even though Laura Les wasn't living in LA yet, the duo continued to collaborate the way they always had, remotely through Logic Pro, sending files back and forth until every detail felt just right. As Coachella rolled around, Dylan and Laura had already cooked up a batch of new material, most of which has still never been officially released. One standout song from their set though was a track called Ringtone, which went off at the show and quickly became a fan favorite.
My boy's got his own ringtone. It's the only one I know. It's the only one I know. My boy's got his own ringtone.
The success of their Coachella set earned them a spot at the even bigger Minecraft musical event, Fire Festival, in 2019. By this point, the duo had committed to working on a full-length album. At Fire Festival, they previewed several tracks that would later appear on their debut LP, including gecs, 745 Sticky, I Need Help Immediately, I Would Never Stop You, and their now iconic banger, Money Machine. The reaction? People were obsessed. It was clear that something huge was brewing. And after just 4 more months of remote collaboration, 100 gecs released their debut album, 1000 gecs, on May 31st, 2019. The album featured the songs they had premiered live in Minecraft, along with 3 new bangers, 800 dB Cloud, Stupid Horse, and Hand Crushed by a Mallet. And when I say this album blew up, it blew up, dude. It ranked number 42 on Pitchfork's Top 50 Albums of 2019, number 19 on the Rolling Stones, and number 1 on the New York Times. Their distinct, chaotic sound spread like wildfire across SoundCloud, Twitter, TikTok, and really any corner of the internet. It felt like anyone involved in any online niche had suddenly just became a 100 gecs fan overnight. 1000 gecs was hyperpop at its core, but it stretched the genre's boundaries in every direction, from SoundCloud rap to EDM rave to emo, pop punk, and even ska. It felt like a more professional, refined version of the earlier EP, but still carried the same rebellious spirit. Soon the buzz caught the attention of major labels. In fact, it was the CEO of Atlantic Records himself, Craig Kallman, who instructed his team to sign the duo, recalling 100 gecs music as a stop you dead in your tracks kind of moment. After signing the duo, they embarked on a national tour, growing their fan base with every stop. But once the tour wrapped, the two returned to their separate lives, working on solo projects and going back to living on opposite sides of the country. Just a few years later, the itch to collaborate again had returned though. They had dropped a few singles and remixes throughout 2020 and 2021, like the ska-inspired Christmas track, Sympathy for the Grinch,
Wanted some speakers, Xbox and t-shirts, life been good like every single day.
a remix of Linkin Park's One Step Closer, and a feature on 303's Lonely Machine. But fans were still hungry for a full project. To hold them over, they surprise dropped a 3-song mixtape on December 2nd, 2022 titled Snake Eyes, which even contained a Skrillex feature. These songs showcase a return to classic gecs chaos, now infused with 2010's dubstep influences. Hey Big Man and Torture Me were fast-pitched, shifted, hyperpop anthems, while Runaway started slow and emotional before exploding into an electronic pop-punk climax. Fans were thrilled, and so were Dylan and Laura. By this time, Laura had finally moved to LA, not just for her career, but to also work with Dylan in person again. Both had entered new phases in life, married, homeowners, and approaching their late 20s. That maturity and the shift from remote collaboration to in-person creativity deeply influenced what would become their next album, 10,000 gecs. As they had done before, they nearly finished the album, and then kept tweaking it up until the final deadline. Fun fact, the CD version of the album will actually include alternate verses than the streaming version that you hear.
We had to finish it, and then it took forever to fucking get it from finished to out, annoyingly.
But the finishing process, there was a little bit of scrapping and starting again, right?
Yeah, I mean, like with everything. Like we always are scrapping shit and being like, nah, this could be better. I literally just changed something recently.
Wait, what did you change?
Can't tell you. No, well, actually, I guess everyone will know, right?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty apparent.
Yeah.
There's like 2 different verses in the streaming version as opposed to the record version. I was like, these verses, I want them to be different, so I changed them.
Oh, so we're coming right down to the deadline.
For streaming.
Down to the wire.
The record and the CDs will have the old one.
And I guess the version that I've heard will be different to the streaming version as well, because I've had this for a few months now.
Yeah, the press version, they're
The one we send to press is different than the vinyl too.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's like there's like 100 different versions because we just kept wanting to change shit
The fader version, the pitchfork version, the Rolling Stone version.
All the video versions don't have the final master. It's just like, it's a whole fucking mess.
The result, though, is a project that feels like a natural evolution of their sound. Still chaotic, still genreless, but more polished and cohesive. Dumbest Girl Alive opens the album with more structured production and less randomness, while Laura experiments with new vocal effects and Dylan leans into a more pop-punk aesthetic. Hollywood Baby is a straight-up modern pop-punk song with real instruments and fewer internet core elements.
Are you getting lazy? Clear blue sky, but it rains all the late fees.
Frog on the Floor channels late 90s, early 2000s ska punk vibes with seemingly nonsensical lyrics that become more symbolic the more you listen.
Frog on the floor, where did he come from? Nobody knows where he'll go.
Doritos and Fritos starts with a glitchy gecs sounds but transforms into a skater punk anthem. And as someone who went through a California skater punk phase myself, it's clear that they're drawing inspiration from bands like Rancid, Beck, No Use for a Name, The Bomb Pops. I mean, I could go on. Despite the shift in tone, their genre-defying identity remains intact. Sure, people still label them hyperpop, but when you listen closely to this album, it really has just as much in common with bands like Nine Inch Nails, Limp Bizkit, or even Linkin Park as much as it does with PC music. The hyperpop label sticks mostly because of their legacy at this point. Me 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 might be the most hyperpop sounding track on the album, blending metal, punk, and chopped up production that's similar to what you'd hear from a remix DJ. The Most Wanted Person in the United States brings in a sunny, bouncy, surfer punk energy with hazy, playful vocals. I Got My Tooth Removed starts soft and emotional before jumping right into a full-on ska punk breakdown. With 10,000 gecs, Dylan and Laura prove that they're not confined by genre, expectation, or internet trends. They took everything fans loved about their earlier work and evolved it, without losing that edge. Their music remains open to interpretation, emotionally resonant, and irresistibly weird. And that's exactly why they continue to be beloved by so many. Whether you're a fan of hyperpop, punk, EDM, ska, or just pure chaos, there's something in 100 gecs for you. And if history tells us anything, we're probably just scratching the surface of what 100 gecs is up to next. Regardless, the project is absolutely a step in a new and exciting direction for 100 gecs, who absolutely managed to break through their hyperpop barrier. Not only that, they are pioneers of this whole new genreless music. I mean, what do you call them? They fit into everything. Each of their songs have so many different influences and characteristics from separate genres that blend together to just sound like a totally new wave of nostalgia-core music. It's absolutely some of the most exciting new music to come out of today's world, and I personally cannot wait to see where 100 gecs goes next. And I'll be sitting right here waiting for 100,000 gecs to come out. And that, folks, is all I got for you. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Do you like 100 gecs? Do you like hyperpop? What do you think of the term hyperpop? Anything. And on your way down there, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps the channel and makes me feel good about myself. And I'll see you guys in the next video, for real. Peace. Do you guys remember Wipeout, the game show with the big red balls and the hot chocolate river? The one that spawned endless compilation videos across all of early social media? Well, that's what we're talking about today. We even got a real Wipeout contestant to sit down and do some questions with us. So today, sit back as we look back into one of the world's favorite competition shows, Wipeout. Wipeout is a game show where contestants compete in what the world claimed was the world's largest obstacle course for a $50,000 grand prize. which right off the bat is kind of slimy because they're definitely not the longest or largest obstacle course by any means, and just use that as a promo tactic. I couldn't find what the largest obstacle course was in 2008, but I know the Spartan races were going on then, and they are way bigger than this set. The show was invented by Matt Kunitz, who's pretty well known in the world of reality TV, as he was a supervising producer for The Real World and an executive producer on Fear Factor, using those years of classic reality TV experience and mixing it with some early internet millennial style humor and aesthetics. In fact, for the early episodes, they were even reusing Fear Factor gear and equipment. This is Daniel Drew, who was kind enough to not do this interview once, but twice, because I might have messed it up the first time. I even had this funny bit where I had this hot sauce shirt, so please give Daniel some love in the comments because it was really nice of them.
All their gear was used, and it was kind of, it was a little bit, I mean, it was usable. It was, I mean, it was still safety, concerns, but you could tell it was, they didn't really know what they had.
And one of the most prevalent things to me always about this show is how the hosts just absolutely roast the contestants. And I don't even just mean like make fun of here and there. I mean like they straight up bully these people.
Take a look at this. Nick is so tired he actually tries to take a nap. Shh, he's sleeping.
And if you notice that no one ever gets sad or upset by it, it's because they couldn't actually hear it, as the commentary was always added in post. The show premiered June 24th, 2008 on ABC and was distributed by Endemol Shine, who will play an additional role later in the video, so remember them. The show was hosted by John Henson and John Anderson, along with Jill Wagner. The show has a sort of parody sports commentary vibe to it, with John Anderson being the more analytical one and Henson just kind of saying whatever the hell he wants. Which leaves Jill Wagner as the on-the-field reporter, where she hangs with the contestants of the show, typically doing mini interviews with them. Fun fact, John Henson actually wasn't one of the original hosts, and they initially filmed the pilot with New York comedian Elon Gold. While the reasons for the parting still remain unclear today, Gold has come out in interviews stating that he was on a personal religious journey during this point of his life, and it was hard giving attention to so many things at once. And this version of the pilot has still never been found, so there's a little bit of lost media for you there too. The show ran in hour TV blocks, with the episodes themselves usually being around 40 to 45 minutes. It starts off with 24 contestants, which will be half just by the end of the first round. Yeah, and you guys thought Beast Games was rough. From 12 it goes to 6, 6 to 4, and then 4 to 1. Now, the course itself has changed throughout the years obviously, but let me point out some of the more well-known and loved obstacles. Of course, the big red balls. I mean, I don't gotta say much about those. Another super popular one is the sucker punch wall. I mean, that shit just looks like hell. There's also the sweeper, which is a classic obstacle for these types of shows, but what makes it special in Wipeout is they'll have them do different mini challenges within this challenge every week. Sometimes they're in sacks, sometimes they're playing dodgeball, all while also trying to survive the sweeper. Pretty wild. And even though only 6 move on from this, they go down to the last one, with that person receiving an extra $1,000 to the cash prize if they win. And if you're wondering, contestants did get $100 just for competing.
I think the going rate was about $100 a day then, so that was probably what was offered, and I took it. So somewhere around that. There's you sign away like residuals and stuff like that. It's considered like it was non-equity and stuff. So yeah, you're not really it's different. It's different than a lot of the acting gigs in that way. But I think I got paid $100.
The first 3 sections of the course are filmed in the daytime, with the finale being filmed at night, with them adding pyrotechnics and cool neon lighting. Every finale starts off with the contestants either launching off of something, whether it's the killer surf or a literal human catapult. They start off by being launched into this water, which is only 45 degrees, or so they claim. Another iconic obstacle from the finale has to be the spinner, which is a platform with poles on it that, well, spins at an angle. And if you're like me, you're probably thinking that's all like super soft, padded, cushiony material. Maybe even like a wrestling mat material at the very least. Well, you and I would both be dearly mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you see that episode, I don't know. Maybe you could prove me wrong, but I would love to know because memories. I guess but I remember it being very painful. Like I would love to. I haven't really analyzed it to see like, are they as bouncy as the other ones? But the way this guy described it coming off at first, and he was like ready for a ninja warrior. Like they had before, but they came back having a limp, and I don't know if they had like crutches. Like, it didn't look good.
Oh, and I haven't mentioned yet, but if you're wondering how they actually compete, it's by time trials, since there's almost no way you're not going to wipe out on the course. I mean, it's literally the name of the show. They can't judge you just based on not following, and they can't have everyone go at once, because that would just be absolute chaos for both the viewers and production teams. So they decided to have everyone go one by one and time them. And to my genuine surprise, all of it was a lot more real than I had assumed.
It was very real in terms of, they were just making it up kind of as they were going, from my impression. And like, people came off the first ones to go and they were coming back, like they were like, this is really hard.
Safe to say, it was a massive hit. Big enough for it to get an awards themed episode just 7 episodes into the series' existence, and still ended the season with a best of episode. People could just not get enough of people hitting their face on these balls, and they would launch their second season in February of 2009, just 5 months after the finale of season 1. With the second season starting with a Super Bowl themed episode as it premiered directly after the Super Bowl on ABC, automatically giving it millions of passive viewers who just left the TV station on. Mixed with the people who were already awaiting the show's second season, this thing just had the best ratings you could imagine, raking in tons of money for ABC. The second season was more expanded too, with each episode containing some type of new obstacle, as well as doing even more themed episodes, something the show would take a liking to quite a bit. The first of them being a couples episode, where, as you can imagine, couples competed against each other for the cash prize, as well as an All-Stars themed episode, where the show took fan favorites from the first season and had them compete against each other in a classic game show fashion. The last themed episode wasn't even really themed, except it kinda was. It was an Australian themed episode, except it wasn't a unique episode to US viewers like the past 2 I just mentioned. This was literally just an already taped version of the Australian show, and all they did was have the 2 Johns talk over it like it was a brand new US episode to us. It's not even Joe Wagner doing the field reports because it was filmed in Australia. This is something that Endemol would start to do quite often, and something we'll expand upon a bit more later. Season 3 also had its fair share of new obstacles, like the smack wall sweeper, organ grinder, and bruise ball. Gotta love the names of these damn things. As well as a plethora of new themed episodes. While they would start to repeat some themes in the season, like the couples and America's Finest, they had some new and fun exciting ones, like the family episode, where whole families competed against each other, and the blind date episodes, which was kind of like the couples one, but way more funny, because they would literally just pair 2 random people up together as if they were a couple, which just gave for way better dialogue and reactions. But just as I'm sure you are right now, America was starting to get bored with the same stuff over and over. Yeah, they do new themes and sometimes new obstacles, but like, you get the point. And Wipeout knew they had to come back even harder for season 4. And little did they know that these short little segments they would do over the next 2 seasons would be just as, if not even more popular than the series itself. And that, my friends, is Winter Wipeout.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be giant snowballing with everyone falling, 'cause Wipeout is here. It's the most wonderful time of the year. They'll be dashing and crashing and frozen face bashing while you at home cheer. Yeah! The new Winter Wipeout is here.
Winter Wipeout premieres Thursday, January 6th on ABC.
On January 6, 2011, Wipeout premiered its 4th season to the world, with the first 8 episodes of it being winter themed. In them, we could see snow across the background, icicles, and of course, winter themed obstacles. They even had Joe wear a winter coat or something of that sort, and added extra wind effects to interviews to really sell that vibe. However, logically speaking, they're outside in California and probably did not actually film these in January, so I mean, but that's not the only trick here they're pulling this season. Because one of the most iconic parts to me was always the hot chocolate and whipped cream stuff they fall into, which is literally just the same mud water and soapy bubbles from the other season, and they just call it hot chocolate and whipped cream, and we believe them. It starts off similar to the regular series with 24 players starting in the first round, while only 12 actually move on. Some iconic winter themed obstacles were the Yule log jam, the gingerbread house, and the holiday hymns. Something different in Winter Wipeout though, is instead of the sweeper that normally eliminates 6 players from the 12 that are left, this one has the ski lift, which is honestly way harder of an obstacle. Because before you just had to jump or possibly jump and dodge, now you're literally hanging from a rope like a trapeze artist while avoiding the sweeper and random obstacles coming at you. Meaning if you have no upper body or core strength, you're fucked. After the 6 move on, another different rule comes into play here, as only 3 move on to the winter wipeout zone, compared to the 4 from the regular version. And yes, the finale obstacles are also winter themed, with the snowflake being my personal favorite. I also learned from this that Season 4 introduced spring and summer wipeout, and Season 5 was split between winter and summer wipeout, but honestly, spring and summer wipeout is literally just wipeout. Like, the spring version is literally just the normal show with an extra excuse to add more things springy, both literally and figuratively. They even had spring and summer themed intros and stuff, but again, it looks so similar to the original seasons, you could barely even notice a difference, even as you're watching them all back to back like I did for this video. Now, here's where things get real crazy. Because what if I told you Wipeout came out with not just 1, or 2, or even 3, but 8 video games across 7 different systems? That is absolutely insane, and there's just no excuse for it. The first of these games was aptly named Wipeout the Game, and was developed by Acronym Games for the Wii and DS, with all of them being published under Activision. And fun fact, it's the only one of these games I could get my hands on, and I did do a playthrough of it, which you can watch right now on Saskia's Extras. Probably. I'm still looking for an editor. Behavior Interactive would be the developers behind pretty much every other console release for the series, which included Wipeout in the Zone, Wipeout 2, Wipeout 3, and Wipeout Crash and Create, with Activision themselves developing and publishing the mobile versions. And honestly, my favorite part going through all these is just looking at all the different art styles, because, I mean, well, you'll get it as we go through them. Wipeout in the Zone was released in June of 2011, with Wipeout 2 being released just a couple months later in October 2011. And you can tell these were pushed out because, I mean, look at these things. It is so bad, I cannot. The game added a sort of wraparound camera, which would just auto bounce back to its start position once you moved it. The course was full of 2011 era Roblox textures, and also featured this jumping animation. The third game by Behavior Interactive was released on September 25th, 2012, and well, it was actually kind of good. This game and its eventual successor would become known for their iconic intro sequences that are ingrained into many a Gen Z children's heads. This game also let you play Winter Wipeout, which was definitely something that made it seem way cooler. It also permanently added the camera behind the player and used a 3-strike system when playing the courses. So kind of like the real show, if you fail an obstacle 3 times, it forces you to move on to the next one and gives you an extra time penalty. One of my favorite features being that if you fell in the mud, you actually get muddy, and it doesn't go away until you either finish the course or fall in water. It's a pretty nifty little tidbit. Crash and Create, released in 2013, changed things up a bit by adding a course creator, as the name suggests. But not only did they let you make your own course, you could play it with up to 3 other friends at once, even competing against each other, which was pretty cool. Besides that, it was quite literally the same exact game as Wipeout 3. Graphics, physics, mechanics and all, with just new and revamped maps. As for the mobile games, they're just both absolute garbage side-scrolling platforms. The first game assigns you as a random character in the show trying to compete, and while the graphics are pretty bad, I do have to say the physics mechanics in this game are surprisingly well done. I mean, look at these ball bounces. Wild. You could eventually change your character in the game, but they were all pre-made options. The second game is pretty much just a revamped version of the first game, with it instead opting for a more Nintendo Mii style aesthetic. The character selection is the exact same setup, except with it being cartoony, they could add random things like this. And it even had microtransactions. How fun. The point of both games is to compete through a Wipeout course and win. There's little mini challenges in them that give you coins, and those can be used for new levels or characters, and for power-ups and special things you needed cash or these red balls. Now, as we sort of mentioned earlier, Wipeout was published and released through Endemol, which is a subsidiary of Banjai Entertainment, who are quite literally the world's largest international media producer and distributor. So what does that mean? Well, it means Wipeout had its own version in 38 other countries. And the beauty of this type of show is most of it was just reworked footage of other shows, with the host usually just being replaced for native speakers of whichever country you're talking about. But out of those 38 countries, 27 of them got their own versions with on-the-field hosts, contestants, and everything. Those countries being, are you ready? Arab World, Argentina, Australia, Belarus, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, English and French, Chile, Colombia, Croatia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Iceland, India, Israel, Italy, Kazakhstan, Lithuania, Mexico, Mozambique, the Netherlands, Norway, and the Philippines. And also these 4 I forgot to add in the list for some reason. And if you notice that Japan wasn't on there, That's for a clear reason, as in 2011, Japanese media company Tokyo Broadcasting System would sue Endemol and Wipeout, claiming that the show was just an amalgamation of all their current Japanese game shows. Matt Kunitz would argue this claim, saying that Wipeout is 90% Fear Factor inspired and only 10% Japanese game show inspired, adding in a Los Angeles Times interview that Wipeout was born from a desire to do a funny stunt series. He reportedly wanted to sell the show as Fear Factor meets America's Funniest Home Videos. The suit was ultimately settled in December 2011 through mediation with a federal judge without it ever actually having to go to trial. Which brings us to a funny little tidbit, because while Japan claimed Wipeout ripped them off, China would actually release their own version of the show completely unlicensed. I know, this is some crazy drama happening around here. The Chinese version of the show was called, and I am gonna fuck this up, Nan Shang Nu Shang Zhang Quang Chang, which directly translates to Race Forward Boys and Girls. And in its defense, it's fairly different from the Wipeout we know, although they literally call it a wipeout when someone falls, but that's besides the point. Anyway, in this version, girls and boys are literally segregated the whole competition, with them even having different tracks and one of each winning at the end of the episode. It starts fairly similarly, with the contestants avoiding their 8 obstacles, with the same knockout rule being applied, meaning whoever is the quickest moves on. And while our Wipeout usually has a 3-host setup, the Chinese version has 6 to 7 different hosts for any singular episode. Wild. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you win, you don't get a cash prize. You get a brand new car that you're allowed to drive for 100,000 kilometers. Seriously. They even made a kids version of the show, which sounds kind of cute until you read that the children participating are 8 to 18 months old. It literally is crazy, man. It's just some straight up backyard shenanigans stuff. Looking back, we really get a unique glimpse into the 2010s. That early professional era of the internet would be entering itself just as the show was starting. And it was so smart for them to do that. I mean, this was a time when shows like Tosh Parno, AFV, Ridiculousness were all just starting and super popular, as well as that cringy college humor and office type comedy. The show was kind of just a mix of all that, giving you endless clips of people crashing out and saying some of the most out of pocket stuff. I mean, this stuff was meant to be cut up and shared across the internet to go viral, just like any reality TV show is. But at least we know the contestants on this one were down for the gags and ultimately had good times, and gave us good times. And that's what the entertainment industry should be all about, minus the whole stealing ideas thing.
But yeah, it's just kind of making fun of people all the time. But I don't know, it was a really fun experience for me. Happy to hop on board.
Yeah, no.
Thanks for thinking of me.
Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hey, maybe even share the video with someone you used to watch Wipeout with. Maybe even comment your favorite Wipeout episode memory, or if you learned something new in this video. I always appreciate you guys, and I will see you in another video. Peace. So, not too long ago, I made a video discussing some discontinued chips. And from that video, I clipped a short talking about Doritos Jacked. And it really seems like you guys miss those chips. So, in honor of your beautiful, kind-hearted souls, today, please sit back as we look back at one of the most iconic chips to ever hit the market, Doritos Jacked. Well, to start this story, we need to head all the way back to 2012, the year of Ebola and the world ending, and that year's South by Southwest Music Festival, which was responsible for the unveiling of these new Doritos, where Doritos actually sponsored an entire stage, which they dubbed the Jack Stage, where big acts like Lady Gaga were performing. It was designed to look like a vending machine that would actually drop bags of chips on fans as people were performing. The thing was absolutely massive, spanning just about 56 feet tall, which is about the size of a 4-story building. Yeah, crazy. But it was a really cool way to market the introduction of their new product and garner some buzz. The product in question, of course, being their new line of chips, the Doritos Jacked. A chip that was meant to be 40% larger than the original Dorito in both size and crunch. And on top of that, the flavors would be jacked up as well. with these being double dusted in coating. And shortly after the festival, they would be launched in stores nationwide. Doritos Jacked would initially launch in 2 flavors, Enchilada Supreme and Smoky Chipotle Barbecue. The Smoky Chipotle Barbecue flavor was described as having a decent amount of heat for a chip, but not being overwhelmingly hot with a slight smokiness. And the Enchilada Supreme just being described as tasting kind of like white people tacos. But regardless of the flavors, fans were absolutely in love with the size of the chip, and even more in love with the crunch. No matter which flavor you look up, where the review is from, what time period it's from, everyone who had these will always tell you that that crunch was just unmatched compared to any other chip ever. And Doritos definitely noticed the insane spike of sales from them, and within just a year, in 2013, they would release one of the most popular discontinued chips ever. And not even just for Doritos or this line. And that would be the Doritos Jacked Ranch Dipped Hot Wings. Oh man, dude, these chips were the bomb.com. This is actually the only flavor of these I can actively remember having. And, well yeah, I'm aware that seems biased. Don't take it just from me. I mean, literally just look up Doritos Jacked Ranch Dipped Hot Wings on Google and see how many posts come up about people's love for them. I mean, it's insane. They're truly iconic. The bright blue bag contrasted by the insanely red chips. I mean, what's not to love? And on top of all that, the flavor was incredible. Most people refer to the Blazing Buffalo Ranch Doritos that are out now as a lighter version of this classic chip. And that's kind of true, because while the Buffalo Ranch flavor is there, the Jacked Doritos claim to be ranch dipped hot wings. And yeah, they actually had some heat to them. I'm a spice boy myself. I go for the spiciest thing anywhere all the time, and even I remember these things packing a decent kick to them. But the fun didn't stop there, because in 2014, Doritos would take the Jacked line and do a fun little experiment with them, in which they would release 3 limited edition test flavors that fans could then vote on, with the winner ultimately becoming a permanent flavor. Very similar to Mountain Dew's Democracy campaign, which we've covered before in this video here. Flavors, however, weren't initially given to consumers. Instead, the bags were just called Tests 404, 855, and 2653 respectively, with the winner ultimately being Test 404, which was unveiled to be Spicy Street Taco, which was seen as a spicier version of the Enchilada Supreme, but without that sour cream flavor. The other 2 flavors would also be released to the public, with Test 855 being a Caribbean citrus jerk, which was compared to the hint of lime Tostitos but spicier, and lastly, Test 2653, which was a chocolate chipotle bacon flavored chip. Most people just said it tasted like a basic chicken mole sauce, and honestly, Doritos probably knew this one wasn't gonna win, and they were just cashing in on the then bacon and chocolate craze of the early 2010s. But after this whole ordeal, 2015 would come knocking, and Doritos wanted to totally switch up the Jacked line by mixing it with another fan favorite line, Doritos 3D. They released 2 flavors of these merged snacks, those being Jalapeno Pepper Jack and Bacon Cheddar Ranch. The Jalapeno Pepper Jack flavor has also built quite a cult following around it, not as big as the ranch dipped hot wings, but still pretty noticeable. They were described as kind of tasting like a spicy cheesy corn nut. Bacon Cheddar Ranch was actually the first flavor to be released through mobile only, with you having to have the Fritos app at the time to get them. But maybe they did that intentionally, because people were not big on that flavor. They were just said to taste super bland and mostly like cheddar, but without any bacon or like smokiness to them. And that would be it for 2015. And at this point, you're probably expecting me to say something even more crazy for 2016. But that wouldn't be the case. In 2016, Doritos didn't do anything new with the Jacked line. Instead, they just re-released the Spicy Street Taco flavor, and that was it. I mean, the 3 main flavors were still around, but even by 2016, people were already noticing the Jacked 3D variety was pretty much sold out everywhere. Starting to put the question in their heads, are they discontinuing my favorite snack? And their worst fears would sadly become a reality, because throughout 2017 and 2018, Frito-Lay's would slowly start phasing these out of stores in favor of other new products from the brand, and by 2019, Doritos Jacked would be permanently discontinued. Of course, the reasoning was the standard big company, well, we're moving on with consumer needs and the market shifts and blah blah blah, you know, the usual. But something I mentioned in that original video I brought up at the start was that as someone who's worked in a factory before, something most people don't take into account necessarily is how these things are actually produced. I mean, you gotta think about it. With a company this large, they're obviously being made on a factory line with machines designed specifically for a Dorito. And this is no different. They probably had to adapt one of their current machines or make a totally new one just to make these chips. And on top of that, most of that stuff is gatekept by those companies, so anytime something goes wrong, they have to call them for maintenance. And if sales truly were declining, maybe they decided to halt the production of Doritos Jacked entirely and instead use that equipment for something that would actually give them a return on their profit. But that's just my theory. And I want to hear yours in the comments below. Did you remember eating these back in the day? What was your favorite flavor? Do you want them back? Make sure to let me know, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on your way down there because it's always appreciated. And I'll see you guys in another video. Peace. The 2025 Grammys were wild, especially for this artist who had her first nomination and her first win for 2025 Rap Album of the Year. That artist is doechii.
Hi, my name's doechii with 2 eyes. I feel anxious when I'm high.
Who also put on a hell of a performance earlier that night.
Bend them backwards, it's time to wake them up cause they been sleeping on the track list. Body so attractive, y'all be giving catfish. Log them off the web and every gangster's giving actress.
And while doechii rightfully deserved the win, a lot of people were kind of like, who is this girl? I mean, she was going against huge names like J. Cole, Future and Metro Boomin, and even Eminem. She even got a shout out from Kendrick Lamar saying she was the hardest artist out right now. And you might have seen this clip floating around everywhere after her win.
So I got fired today.
So, buckle up. Because today, we're looking back on how doechii went from just being a small YouTuber like me to absolutely dominating the hip-hop world.
Disclaimer. While doing the research for this video, it's clear that there's lots of content doechii has removed or private through the years for whatever her reasons may be. Like this entire YouTube channel I found through the Wayback Machine called Black Pro Black Couple, which no longer exists and was never archived, or like how in her very first YouTube video uploaded 10 years ago she mentions her other channel I Am doechii TV, where the oldest video there is only 5 years ago, or her entire website where she tried to be a fashion designer and actually made hoodies for people to buy that were severely delayed. So with all that being said, let's hop into the video.
doechii, whose real name is Jayla Jimia Hicken, was born on August 14th, 1998 in Tampa, Florida, into a household deeply rooted in music and faith. Her mother, Celestia Moore, played a significant role in her upbringing, often taking her to church. Her father, known as Snatcha Da Boss, is actually a rapper, as is her uncle, both of whom have had a profound influence on her musical journey. In fact, her father still has music available on streaming platforms today. From a young age, doechii showed a natural inclination towards music. Even as a baby, her father recalled her enthusiastically banging on drums and being mesmerized whenever he played the piano.
Within literally a few months after her being born and stuff, her mom, you know what I mean, she's always been like a driven, independent minded, you know what I mean, strong willed and stuff woman, and she wanted to get back to work as soon as she could, you know what I mean? So at the time she wanted to get back to work, so I would be having my daughter with me, having doechii with me, you know what I mean? And she would be sitting in the apartment, me and my brother's apartment, and you know, I got her, I'm on dad duties, and I'm still trying to write and perfect my craft, sharpen my pen. Me and my brother had a little keyboard,
This early exposure to music started to shape her artistic path. When she was just 6 years old, her mother would become pregnant yet again, this time having 2 twin daughters. doechii would describe her sisters as obnoxiously lovable, and said they were key parts in motivating her to pursue her passions. By age 13, she joined her church's marching band as a dancerette and began singing in the gospel choir. Coincidentally, a skating rink was located right next to her church, where she and her friends would often go to skate while immersing themselves in different genres of music. Her passion for music extended into her school life as well. She took a music theory class where she performed jazz in a small band with friends, further honing her skills. And by age 17, she would start uploading her first YouTube videos. Doechii embarked on her YouTube journey on January 17, 2015, when she uploaded her first video titled, "Do You Wanna Build a Snowman? I Am Doechii." The video featured her and her friends singing an a cappella riff that began with the famous line from Frozen.
Build a snowman. Come on, let's go and play.
Her next upload was a day in the life vlog, documenting her typical school day. Even in these early videos, music was a constant presence, whether it was her and her friends casually singing on the bus, or through the carefully selected background track she included in her videos. In this vlog, she also shared her excitement about participating in an emerging talent contest, and expressed her love for her favorite class, chorus.
So, I just reserved the suites for Tuesday, Thursday, and I'm staying after school today to arrange the song. And I will be filming the emerging talent performance and all of that jazz. I'm about to go to chorus. One of my favorite periods!
Doechii continued to upload a diverse range of content, experimenting with different formats. She started a storytime series where she shared, and possibly exaggerated, tales from her life, likely inspired by the popularity of storytime videos during that era. It was clear that she wasn't just passionate about art. She was also deeply driven by a desire for success, a theme she would frequently discuss in her videos. And that ambition paid off, as she reached her first 1,000 subscribers after just 17 videos. An achievement she celebrated on her channel with her friends, and one I've yet to hit. As her channel grew, she introduced new series, including What Would Doechii Do?, where she gave advice to problems submitted by her subscribers. She also participated in tag videos. Throughout 2016 and 2017, her content began to take on a more serious and introspective tone, however. She started uploading videos where she openly reflected on deeper topics, such as being a black woman in today's society and practicing self-love. These discussions revealed a shift in her perspective. She was no longer the wide-eyed dreamer that she had been just a few years earlier. The realities of pursuing a career in art were starting to set in. During this time, she decided to try out college and even vlogged her orientation at Bethune-Cookman University. However, she ultimately chose not to stay in school. Instead, she began exploring new creative ideas, such as starting 2 new YouTube series, Vibe With Me and Doechii Diaries, though these series never extended beyond their first episodes. One of her more unique projects was Treehouse, where she would sit in the woods and openly discuss her inner thoughts and struggles. Despite these uncertainties, she remained excited about her artistic journey, describing her career at this point as liberating. She also began exploring her femininity more in her videos, often using the hashtag Coven Challenge. In 2018, she even attempted daily vlogging for about a week. As time went on, her uploads became less frequent though. She was working harder than ever on her music while also holding down a job at Chipotle to make ends meet. Feeling stuck, she made a bold decision. She left Tampa and moved to New York City to fully focus on her dreams. It wasn't until 2019 that she officially merged her 2 passions, YouTube and music, by uploading a video of herself performing 2 original songs live at a party. This marked a turning point in her content, but it wasn't just making music that changed her perspective. Something else would happen that would absolutely revolutionize her world. While walking through the streets of New York City, she stumbled upon a free pile of books and picked up a copy of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. The book is a self-help guide for creatives and encourages artists to rediscover their creativity through exercises and reflections. Inspired by the book, she started documenting her journey through it, sticking to the series more consistently than any project ever before. During this period, she uploaded her now famous I Got Fired Today, a clip that many longtime fans are familiar with. While it's unclear exactly where she was working at the time, the video showcased her determination. She spoke candidly about going into studios in New York City, asking them for internships or literally any opportunity that could bring her closer to being in the industry she wanted to be in. And around this time, we would also get access to the second channel, I Am Doechii TV. Originally intended for makeup and get ready with me videos, however, it ended up being an extension of her main channel. featuring New York City vlogs, a podcast-like series, and even the release of Spooky Coochie. By the end of 2019, she abandoned the second channel totally though, likely realizing there was no real need to maintain two identical platforms. Returning to her main channel though, she continued documenting her progress through the artist way, while still uploading classic doechii style content, from coven music sessions to story times to get ready with me's. However, something big was brewing behind the scenes. She released a compilation mixtape featuring her earlier work and even posted a reaction video, a first for her, where she reacted to somebody else reacting to her music. Then, just 3 videos later, she dropped a trailer for it. And only 2 videos after that, she released the video that would change everything. On September 25th, 2020, doechii released the music video for the lead single off her EP, Oh the Places You'll Go, the now iconic Yucky Blucky Fruitcake. Today the video has amassed millions of views, marking her breakthrough moment. Shortly after, she posted one final YouTube video about her and her team moving to Los Angeles. That video would be her last classic style YouTube video, as she officially transitioned from being a YouTuber to a full-time musician. doechii's YouTube journey wasn't about just making content. It was a testament to her creativity, persistence, and evolution. From casual vlogs to storytime videos to deep self-reflections and groundbreaking music, she consistently put herself out there, experimenting with different forms of artistic expression. Her story proves that growth isn't linear, and sometimes the struggle along the way is what shapes an artist the most. While YouTube was where she built her earliest audience, it was ultimately just the launchpad for something much bigger. And as we now know, her journey was only just beginning. Now that we've explored doechii's YouTube career, let's rewind to the beginning of her music journey. The first song she actively promoted was El Chapo, which is still available on SoundCloud now under the title Cody Out the Roof with the Chop. This track showcases a young doechii experimenting with lo-fi sounds and her signature vocals.
Maybe it's my energy, maybe it's my aura, cause
Her next release, Lil Mark and the Cut, That's a Scary Sight, leaned heavily into her gangster rap influences. The song features an uncredited male artist who ends one of his verses with the line, "Me and doechii like Biggie and Kim." This suggests to me that it may have been the same guy she had that YouTube channel with that's now deleted. Regardless, doechii's flow in this song was insane. One of the hardest I've ever heard from a female rapper ever, like actually.
doechii potion in your ocean, I'm the wave, your bitch in motion. I'm sadistic, no emotion, I'm statistic, locomotion. Say he like the way I spit, slob on the track while he jerking off his dick.
It gives early 2000s Missy Elliott vibes, infused with the aggressiveness and haziness of her Florida roots. Next came Girls, her first mini hit, now sitting at 212,000 plays on SoundCloud. This track is a certified bop. A melancholic yet catchy pop intro transitions into doechii's trademark hard-hitting rap flow.
Dance in the mirror, I'm whining. Calling my phone, I decline it. Yeah, you know I'm stingy with timing. Watch how I flip and rewind it.
It's like an alligator bite. Get it? Listening to these songs, she was really giving early Doja Cat. A unique blend of soft pop melodies and fierce rap verses, all with that pretty girl undertone. Following this, doechii dropped Say Yol, a song that she never actually fully finished, leaving Rough in the file name. Surprisingly, despite being incomplete, it outperformed Girls in plays. The track brings back the El Chapo vibe, featuring a slow guitar with heavy reverb, and doechii adopting a more classical pop style vocal. Her next track, Death Note, marked a shift in energy. Despite receiving only 27,000 plays, it remains a personal favorite of mine. The beat draws inspiration from the late 2000s and early 2010s pop with modern pop punk influences.
Not much time for you. Don't be mad at me. I'm just living life, doing my...
Which kind of reminds me of Lil Uzi Vert's Paradise. Lyrically, doechii delves into struggles with drugs and love, themes that would continue throughout her career. Then came another certified banger, Spooky Coochie, which is now sitting at 879,000 plays. This track takes a Halloween-inspired approach with eerie production and choppy aggressive flows reminiscent of the 2000s rap era.
Nigga, I'm back like a Chucky bride from the afterlife. Nothing nice, this an antichrist, it's a bloody night.
This newfound buzz became the spark doechii needed to propel her career forward. Soon after, she began teasing her first EP, Oh the Places You'll Go. To promote it, she recorded and filmed a music video for Yucky Blucky Fruitcake, which now has over 5 million YouTube views, and became a TikTok sensation. If you've made it this far, you're probably a real doechii fan, but just in case you don't know this song, let me tell you that it's a certified hood classic. Featuring a beat switch, the track is split into 2 parts. The first half showcases her high energy rap flow, detailing her upbringing and why she demands respect, with the second half shifting to a more melancholic pop rap style where she gets real vulnerable about her childhood struggles. It's such a powerful song, I mean, what else can you say? Oh the Places You'll Go is a mix of previously released tracks and new material. The EP explored lighthearted feminine themes alongside heavier topics such as navigating the world as a black woman. The intro track, Oh the Places You'll Go, reflects on life's purpose, especially relatable for those in their mid-20s questioning their accomplishments, which is immediately followed up by the track Black Girl Memoir, a deeply personal song with 2000s Beyonce vibes, addressing the challenges of being a black woman in today's society. Doechii trauma dumps in the most beautiful way on this EP, blending music and poetry to create something uniquely her own. Another standout song, God, isn't a traditional song actually. Instead, it features spoken word audio from her final Artist Journey week, layered over a 90s techno commercial style beat.
And I wrote down, we must come to recognize that God is an unlimited supply and that everyone has access. God does not run out of blessings.
Given her Christian upbringing, this track holds deep personal significance and highlights her commitment to doing what she wants, rather than conforming to industry expectations. The rest of the EP showcased doechii's versatility. From neo-soul to EDM to 2010s inspired pop, the project was a huge success, leading to her first record deal with Top Dog Entertainment, aka TDE, making her the first female rapper to sign with the label. And to celebrate her signing, doechii and TDE dropped a 5-song mixtape called Brawless, inspired by her advocacy for female empowerment and freedom. The project leaned heavily into gangster rap, featuring gritty southern 808 style trap beats, reminiscent of the 2010 SoundCloud era. The mixtape also included a remastered version of Girls, and her first official feature with label mate Leo Canonza. While Brawless wasn't meant to be a major release, it was a crucial step in her transition to a professional recording environment. Between Oh the Places You'll Go and her next album, doechii focused on singles and collaborations. She experimented with some more sexy mainstream female rap, possibly to gain wider exposure. Her singles Persuasive and Crazy showcase her growing confidence in balancing gangster rap energy with feminine melancholic pop. Persuasive even managed to land a SZA feature, which was a huge milestone for doechii. She continued her momentum with Bitches B featuring Just Ray, Swamp Bitches featuring Rico Nasty, and This Bitch Matters, which collectively formed the She/Her Black Bitch EP. Her first mainstream radio hit, Block Boy featuring Kodak Black, further cemented her rise to stardom. After years of experimentation, doechii released her debut album, Alligator Bites Never Heal, which went on to win Best Rap Album at the 2024 Grammys. Spanning 18 tracks, the album encompassed everything, from melancholic pop to gritty Florida rap. Lyrically, it explored fame, love, addiction, and growing up in Florida, serving as a soundtrack to her life. The lead single, Denial is a River, became yet another TikTok viral hit, revisiting her yucky blucky fruitcake persona and reflecting on her journey since then.
Tell me what's been going on.
Okay. Remember old dude from 2019, nice clean nigga did me dirtier than laundry. Took a scroll through his IG.
Other standout tracks included Boom Bap, which paid homage to classic 90s hip-hop, and Catfish, a more gritty song which reminds me of something you'd hear in Need for Speed Underground.
Tell a bitch hoorah, step up in this bitch, I look too fly. Cop the Dior shit on Ventura. Took a midnight swim in my chula.
The title track, Alligator Bites Never Heal, was one of her most vulnerable songs yet, featuring soft guitar instrumentals and haunting vocals. Since her Grammy win, doechii has been everywhere, performing at Camp Flog Gnaw, doing interviews with people like Nardwuar, The Breakfast Club, Hot 97, and even dropping more music. Her latest singles, Nosebleed and Anxiety, prove that she's still evolving. Anxiety is especially nostalgic as it reworks a freestyle from her YouTube days, rapped over doechii, Somebody That I Used to Know.
Anxiety, keep on trying me. I feel it quietly, trying to silence me. Yeah, my anxiety can't shake it off of me.
Doechii's style blends 2000s and 2010s nostalgia with modern innovation, making her one of the most exciting artists today. Her journey is inspiring, and as a fan with similar dreams, I can't wait to see where she goes next. And that leads us to, well, today, when this video literally gets uploaded. She might release something new in between me recording, releasing, editing this, you know. But it's safe to say that at this point, doechii is a certified mainstream artist, who is here to stay. She is the definition of manifestation mixed with passion and motivation. I mean, she's a classic, you can just do it if you get off your ass and try story. And people are here for it because she's just getting bigger and bigger. And throughout all of it, she's always keeping her authenticity, from being a cringy little teenager uploading YouTube videos and vlogs, hoping to go viral, to being a young adult struggling on the streets in New York, to now being a Grammy award-winning artist, with so much more to come. And that, my friends, is the story of doechii. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe, and comment your thoughts on doechii or whatever. Any other artists or ideas you want me to deep dive into, you know, I'm always here for it. And I appreciate you guys for watching. And when I get to the point where doechii is one day, I'm never gonna forget any of you. I pinky promise. I really do. Peace, y'all.